Hey guys, Trasher Football here, and I can finally say that I'm back. At least for now, I'm feeling way better. Thank you guys all for the nice comments, by the way. It is very much appreciated. You guys are the best. But today, we're going to be going over the 5 best Power 5 teams that you should rebuild in College Football 25. So let's go ahead and get into it, with number 5 being the Boston College Eagles. Now, Boston College used to be known as a pretty decent ACC team, especially when they had Matt Ryan as quarterback, but over the last several years, they've really just fallen off. This past season, they went 7-6, and the season before 3-9, so they are on an upward trajectory. But with head coach Bill O'Brien at his first year at Boston College, it should be very interesting, especially when you look at Boston College's schedule. I mean, you open up week 1 at Florida State. That'll be a very, very hard but fun first game to test your strength with if you do a Boston College rebuild. Then you have Duquesne, which is an FCS school. Then you have at Missouri, which is a very interesting SEC and ACC inter-conference matchup. I think that this is very two of like the lower, and I'm not calling Missouri bad. They had a very, very good year for the SEC. They made a New Year's Six bowl game, but as just a part of its history of both of the conferences, they really haven't done much. Like, Missouri's gone to 2 SEC championships and they didn't even win it. They won division twice. But to skip over that, then you have Michigan State. So Boston College has 2 very interesting non-conference games, an SEC and a Big Ten school. Not the biggest ones of those conferences, but still very interesting. And you have Western Kentucky, then you have both of the Virginia schools, Louisville, Syracuse, SMU, North Carolina, and Pitt. That is a very easy second half schedule that maybe the only 2 losses I could see there is maybe Louisville and Syracuse, depending on how well North Carolina decides to do this season. So in my opinion, I think that you guys should choose Boston College as one of your Power 5 rebuilds for College Football 25. And up next is the Northwestern Wildcats from the Big Ten. Now, this team, let me tell you, 2 years ago, they were awful. Under Pat Fitzgerald, they went 1-11 with only 1 win, and that was against Nebraska in the Big Ten. And then the next season, this past season, they went 8-5. Huge improvement for Northwestern. Do you guys think that you can do better than 8-5? Well, hear me out as to why this is your 4th best Power 5 rebuild team. You start out with Miami, Ohio, and then Duke and Eastern Illinois. Now, those are very interesting games right there. I mean, Miami, Ohio should be easy, but they're not a pushover, slide away team. That's a very decently good MAC team. And then you got Duke. Duke is very good. At least they have been this past season, with Riley Leonard. Like, that is a very, very good team right there for you to choose for. Then you got Eastern Illinois, and then at Washington, that'll probably be one of your top 3 hardest games. But then you have Indiana, Maryland, Wisconsin, and then at Iowa, that'll be an interesting one at Kinnick Stadium. Then at Purdue, then you have Ohio State and Michigan back to back. This might be the hardest schedule in the Big Ten. I mean, you got out of conference Miami, Ohio, and Duke, and then you have with Washington moving to the Big Ten, you have to go all the way to Seattle to play that game, and then Ohio State, and then at Michigan later in the season. That's a very hard but fun to challenge yourself with schedule for the Big Ten. Now, that is a very, very fun rebuild team that I think a lot of people are not really paying attention to. And up next is the Vanderbilt Commodores from the SEC. And now everybody could say this is the one rebuild team they want to do. Vanderbilt has been the consistently worst team in SEC history. They're a baseball school. They're an academic school. They're not football, In 2022, they went 5-7, and then everybody thought, Clark Lea's going to improve them to a better season in 2023. They had very high hopes. They won their first 2 conference games in the longest time in 2022, both against Kentucky and Florida. And then in 2023, it all fell apart. They went 2-10. Now, they are keeping Clark Lee at head coach, as far as I know, but look at this schedule. Virginia Tech, Alcorn State, and at Georgia State as your 3 non-conference games to start out the season. pushing away Alcorn State aside, and also shout out Alcorn State. Love to see the shout out for a good old Mississippi team. And then you have Missouri at Missouri, which will be very interesting. And then you have home against Alabama. This will be Kalen DeBoer's first season. And now that's another good team to rebuild with Nick Saban gone. So I want you guys to try Alabama too, but they're not included in my top 5. Then at Kentucky, then Ball State, Texas, at Auburn, South Carolina, at LSU, and then home against Tennessee in the rivalry game. Now this is a fun schedule. This is a very fun, interesting schedule. Now, one of the biggest exclusions in the schedule is they don't have to play Georgia. They don't have to play Florida. Those are 2 SEC East games that have been taken away from their schedule. Now, I'm not sure if there's any other SEC East games that have been taken away, but now with divisions being gone, that's good for Vanderbilt. Taking away 2 of the hardest teams that they have to face every season, but then replacing them with Alabama and Texas and Auburn and LSU. I mean, all of that's going to be very hard, but that is going to be a very fun team to play with. And then at number 2, you have the Florida Gators staying in the SEC. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Trasher, Florida has been a consistently decent team in the SEC. No, they're not. So, after Urban Meyer left, the Florida Gators have been very not great. They've been kind of under decent. They've been just a little bit below average. They had and I'm a Florida Gator fan, so I can speak from experience through all the pain in the post-Tebow era. You had Will Muschamp. You had Jim McElwain. You had Dan Mullen. Now you have Sunbelt Billy Napier. Florida has not been a consistently great team, except for the period between 2018 to 2020, when they somehow did good and made 3 straight New Year's Six bowl games. But in 2021, Dan Mullen got fired during the season, went 6-7. In Billy Napier's first year, 6-7. In Billy Napier's second year, this past season, 5-7. Florida has had so much struggle looking for quarterbacks. I can remember all the way to like Austin Appleby, Will Grier, John Brantley, Jeff Driscoll, Luke Del Rio, Felipe Franks. All those quarterbacks between Tebow and now weren't the greatest. Now I do like Felipe Franks. I will have to give him that. And Will Grier, I think he would have taken us to the SEC championship if he hadn't been suspended for PEDs. Now, between then and now, Kyle Trask has probably been the greatest quarterback for Florida since Tim Tebow. In 2019, he did start 9 games, and then all 10 games in 2020 was a Heisman contender, and in my opinion, should have won the thing. And if you look at his stats and then compare it to the fact he only had a 10 regular game season schedule, and they were all SEC teams because of COVID, and then you have the fact that they went against Alabama, almost beat Alabama in the SEC championship, and then struggled against Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl, but that's because Florida had a lot of players opt out for the NFL draft. And then since then, you've had Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson, who is in the NFL now. He's a starting quarterback for the Colts. He's looking decent. And then Jack Miller started that one game in the Las Vegas Bowl, and then they finally found somebody in Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz wasn't the greatest Big Ten quarterback when he played for Wisconsin. He put up average numbers, threw a lot of picks, got sacked a lot. But now, under this playbook for Billy Napier, he's started to look pretty damn decent. He's become very accurate inside the pocket, but just one of the big things is that pocket collapses very quickly because Florida doesn't have a good O-line. Now for the Florida Gators going into the 2024 season, this might be the hardest schedule in the country. You may think I'm joking, but look at the schedule right here. You start out the season at home against Miami, Florida, in one of the biggest rivalries in the whole state of Florida. Then you play against Samford, who, remember that one game Florida almost lost to Samford? I wouldn't say almost lost, but it was very interesting. Then Texas A&M, at Mississippi State, home against UCF, at Tennessee. Those first 6 weeks might sound hard, but wait till you see these next 6 weeks. Home against Kentucky, versus Georgia in a neutral site game at Jacksonville, at Texas, home against LSU, home against Ole Miss, and at Florida State. Oh my God, what a schedule. I hate to down my Gators. I love my Gators to death, but oh my gosh, Florida might go 3-9 this season, and that's why I think that this team would be one of the best teams for you to rebuild in college football 25. This is a team that's not been great the last couple of years, but this is a team that you can make great. And if you can run the gauntlet, maybe go 9-3, 10-2, hell, even 8-4 with this schedule, pull in some decent recruits in the whatever the recruiting is going to be in the college football 25 game. This is going to be a very, very fun team to run with, especially with their uniforms, but that's a whole nother story. And last but not least is the Colorado Buffaloes, led by Deion Sanders, who will not be in the game because head coaches will not be in the game. But last season, they went 4-8, and the season before, 1-11. So this is a team that's not been good, really, as long as I can think of. And even 2021, they went 4-8. And then after they got rid of Coach Durrell, or whatever his name is, and then they got Deion, hopes were high. They started off last season pretty decent. They went to TCU, beat TCU. They played against Nebraska, beat Nebraska. Played against Colorado State, barely edged it out against Colorado State in a very, very good game. But from now on, please stop playing Pac-12 games after dark and overtime. I am tired of having to stay up at 1 in the morning to watch these games. That's all a joke. Please don't take that too seriously. Then everything fell apart against Oregon. And then they had a close game against USC, but who didn't? USC's defense was awful. And then they surprisingly picked up a win against Arizona State, and then they lost their next 6 games against Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, got blown out by Washington State, and then lost to Utah. And then this upcoming season, I mean, look at this schedule right here. North Dakota State, one of the best FCS teams. They need to be put on notice for that one. At Nebraska, at Colorado State. Glad to see that the Rocky Mountain Showdown is back, at least for now. Baylor, at UCF, Kansas State, at Arizona, Cincinnati, at Texas Tech, Utah, at Kansas, Oklahoma State. With them entering the Big 12 and leaving the Pac-12, this is going to be a whole completely different schedule for Colorado. Now, they did play TCU last season. They won't be playing them again this season, but this is definitely a very interesting schedule right here. The Big 12's not really going to be the best conference without Texas and Oklahoma now that they're leaving for the SEC this upcoming season. But I mean, there's still some really decent teams in the Big 12, especially Kansas State and Utah, now with Cam Rising returning back at quarterback after his ACL injury in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. This is going to be a fun team to use. I mean, especially with Shedeur Sanders. That's a quarterback that a lot of people think is a future Heisman Trophy winner, is a future top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I mean, that's, I think he's good. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Colorado, that don't like Deion, that don't like the Sanders. I think he's a good player. I have nothing against the Sanders, but, they're really good. Even Shiloh, and then Travis Hunter, who's not a Sanders, but he plays both sides of the ball really well. Deion, talked him out of committing to Florida State, which is hilarious as a Gators fan. Had him commit to Jackson State. They did really good down there with Deion down in Jackson, Mississippi. And then he went to Colorado, and almost everyone followed him. And then he tried to build the greatest team, told all of the old Colorado players to leave. And I don't even know how many players they inherited with the old squad for Colorado. But this is going to be one of the most fun teams to rebuild, especially with a new schedule in the Big 12, excluding Texas and Oklahoma. This gives Colorado a chance to bounce back and do better than 4-8 in this upcoming 2024 season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, thank you guys for all the nice comments, especially when I said that I had to take my break. I'm sorry for the long break. I just haven't been feeling well. But I am, even before I got on now, I haven't been feeling well, but as soon as I started this video, I didn't even have a script. I do this better off the cuff without a script. Literally, the only thing I did was type down 5 Power 5 teams and looked at their Wikipedia pages for the last couple of seasons. But it's all in my heart. I really love doing this YouTube stuff. And you guys saying, I've seen comments saying that you're my favorite college football YouTuber and all of that. You guys, I read all of your comments, whether it be nice or mean. I read every single comment. I'm constantly looking at my YouTube Studio app to see if anybody's commented on the video. I legitimately love you guys to death. You guys all mean so much to me. I don't think I can ever show how much I love you guys. You know, it's just so much. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later.